So I don't have one particular favorite memory of Senna because when he died, I was still a toddler. But then I think my whole love for Formula One sort of grew from there because my dad was a big fan of the man, and he tell me, what a good driver he was and how he could sort of take the car where like no other driver sort of could.
The obvious one is the 1998 season where Senna and Alain Prost were teammates. Probably the greatest partnership in racing history. Two of the greatest drivers in history, probably the greatest rivalry in history. Two drivers in the same team, McLaren. One particular race actually comes to mind. That's Japan, the 15th race of the season, where Senna actually won the championship over Prost. They dominated that season so much, 16 races, Senna won 8, Prost won 7. At Japan, as usual, Senna was on pole. He took 13 poles that season, a record. He stalled his car on the grid, dropped to 14th, climbed back to the field and overtook Prost to win the race and win the title. Senna was a master in driving in the rain. Alongside Schumacher, possibly even Max Verstappen these days, even Hamilton ranks up there, but Senna is probably the best of all of them. At Donington Park, the British Grand Prix 1993. He finished the race more than 1 minute ahead of anyone else. And he himself races. I've gone back and I've seen the video. It's incredible the way he drove around that circuit.
I can just recall that incident during the Belgian Grand Prix free practice session when Eric Omas had crashed. He quite literally just jumped out of his car, ran across the track despite cars flying past him at high speed, just to get to Eric Omas and to hold his head in position. You don't see drivers doing that these days. There's small instances like these that really keep him a class apart from other drivers.
Sadly, his driving won't be as much a part of his legacy as the safety features, the changes in Formula One safety. When Niki Lauda in 1976 crashed at the Nürburgring, he lost his left ear, the reason why he almost died, and he returned about 6 weeks later to racing. Even that did not prompt such action from the FIA, from Formula One. When Senna died, it really hit home hard, and that weekend, where in Friday practice, Rubens Barrichello, his compatriot, had a very severe accident, ended up in hospital. In Saturday qualifying, the Austrian Roland Ratzenberger died. Senna didn't want to race. He still went ahead, and we know what happened. What that prompted is that, first of all, engine drives were reduced, horsepower was reduced, much greater safety measures, better crash helmets. Some tracks were redesigned. The Imola track itself was redesigned to remove a few kinks in the circuit.
Senna now has become a bigger brand name as compared to before. But before he was a Formula One superstar. But now it's like you have the McLaren Senna that just came out. You have the MV Agusta F4 Senna, which is a bike that was dedicated to him. You have the documentary, which is still on Netflix, which is phenomenal.
A day before today, another racing driver had died in the same Grand Prix weekend, Roland Ratzenberger, and Ayrton Senna in the driver briefing had stressed upon the safety regulations that needed to be made or had to be arranged for the race that day or the next day. He has always been a quick driver. Everybody knew. He's famously quoted as saying, if there is a gap and if I don't go for the gap, I'm no longer a racing driver. That was the way he drove.
There's one thing that comes to mind when you talk about Senna, and that's his bravery. And like everyone said, if you've got to drive in rains like that requires a lot of bravery, a lot of courage. I mean, and by no means is F1 a safe sport. It's one of the most dangerous sports, especially when he was driving. And to show that kind of bravery on all kind of tracks, all kind of situations, every day, that's something that has stood out for me.
Even at that time when cars were pretty slow, when safety regulations were almost close to, I wouldn't say zero, but still quite dangerous conditions, the man was excellent, and he could just navigate that car through, I don't know, take it where other drivers could not.